What's up everyone, Hoang here, and today we are going to talk about a Cherubimon deck profile for BT7. This is not your average Cherubimon deck profile. I think this list is actually very innovative. It capitalizes on the meta very well. This was constructed by Hayes and D-Win, found in my Discord server, so shout out to them. And this list had a lot of testing going into it, and I think you will all be very surprised just how effective and potent this list can be. So without further ado, let's get started. Starting us off, we have to talk about the tamer that enables most of our plays, Koichi. Koichi is a 3-cost tamer that states, on play, draw 1, then trash 1 from your hand, ESS, gain a memory. So the draw 1, trash 1 is actually very important because it sets up a lot of your early plays. Not only is it useful in setting up your trash for when you inevitably go into your Cherubimon, but also it's a really great way to filter throughout your hand. And setting up your tamers, it not only can be used to extend into your hybrid plays, but it also can be used as setup for Cherubimon in the future. Koichi's ESS, very useful when you're using hybrids to contest early board, because the 1 memory that you gain back can set up a lot of your really cool plays. If you have Koichi underneath Cherubimon and you pop Cherubimon, then you can gain back the memory as well as flood your board. So Koichi overall, very impactful card. If you don't see Koichi in the early game, the game definitely gets a lot more rough, so try and get this as soon as possible. Following up on Koichi, we have Rihimon, who is the fusion hybrid between Loemon and Jagger Loemon. Rihimon is a 3-cost evolution over purple 4, but it states if you have a Digimon with Tamer underneath and you Digivolve over it, reduce the cost by 2, so it becomes a 1-cost evolution. On deletion, if you have a hybrid underneath, you may play 1 purple Tamer from your trash without paying cost. So Rihimon is just like cards like Jet Sylphimon, Rhino Kabuterimon, or Aldamon, where he only costs 1 to Digivolve into, so he is stopped by Cutemon. But another thing to note is that the on deletion means he is more reactive than he is proactive, so he isn't getting any on Digivolve effects like Jet Sylphy or Beowulf's on attack, right? But the on deletion still is very useful as it's playing any purple tamer, so it's not restricted to a cost specifically. So you can play Matt, for example, and then activate Matt effect to grab back some of your tamers or some of your hybrids. Rihimon, in the general sense of things for this deck, is still very powerful because 1-cost evolution is very abusable. It can be used as a very excellent bridge into Cherubimon or potentially Mastemon if you want to go for that kind of angle. And finally, the Pinata himself, Cherubimon. Cherubimon is a 4-cost Digivolution over 5. It states, when Digivolving, you may play 1 purple tamer from your trash without paying cost. Then, for every tamer you have in play, delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. Note that it does not specify color tamer, it specifies any tamer. And on deletion, for every tamer you have in play, you may play 1 level 3 Digimon from your trash without paying its cost. So this is the big payoff once you've set up your trash with a plethora of level 3. It's Cherubimon. Cherubimon, when popped, can summon any level 3, does not matter the color, so you're pulling from a multitude of pools, Bokomon, a little bit of yellow if you want, a little bit of purple, you know, a really cool diverse playstyle. And if Cherubimon swings and it doesn't get popped, you can pop it yourself. If Cherubimon gets popped by your opponent, cool, you still get the board flood. Not only that, but being able to play any purple tamer from your trash, very valuable, like grabbing back an extra Kari or a purple Matt memory tamer. And then it's great at wiping out cards like Bokomon from the board. So Cherubimon, very explosive. In the later stages of the game, Cherubimon can threaten for upwards of 5 damage by exploding into a massive amount of hybrid lethals or rush cards. So similarly to the green-red hybrid list that I showed off yesterday, this is another deck that incorporates dual colors in the BT7 meta, and so we're going to talk about this before we get into the techs and matchups, because that makes a little bit more sense. But you do see Cherubimon with a yellow base. A lot of people are going to try purple-based Cherubi, and I don't think it's very good. I think purple-based Cherubi is far too slow and far too weak at handling all the early aggression that the meta brings to the table. Yellow base is much more excellent at trying to stave that off. Between Salamon's ability to heal, the Cutemon, which stops cards like Jet Sylphimon from being a 1-cost evolution, and then of course Bushi Agumon is an excellent threat in the late game. So the yellow engine brings quite a bit to the table. It's also just on average higher quality than purple rookies, so when you revive off Cherubimon, it's very explosive. So We play 4 Upamon. Upamon is, of course, the only yellow egg that draws, I believe. And card draw very valuable in a deck like this where you're trying to go into the long grind. We play 3 Bokomon. Bokomon is absolutely pivotal to this deck. Bokomon enabling all your hybrids to go into for 0. Very, very good. It also searches out all of your hybrids as well as searches your Tamers. And Bokomon, when revived off Cherubimon, let's say you revive 2 Bokomons and then you Digivolve into a hybrid, then suddenly it's a +2 memory overall because both Bokomons will proc. So Bokomon is a very excellent revival target off Cherubi. We play 3 Salamon. Salamon is giving you a little bit of that longevity, being able to stay in the game for much longer amounts of time. So versus aggressive decks like Red, which normally gives you a lot of trouble, now it gives you mild trouble instead, which, yeah, we take what we can get. But overall, Salamon, very, very excellent. It also makes it so you can keep up with yellow hybrid, because, well, they're healing, now you can heal too. I play 3 Bushi Agumon. Bushi Agumon is the target to call off your Cherubimon. Bushi Agumon being able to attack on the turn it's played means that you can set up lethal from various angles. 2 Cutemon, because Cutemon prevents cost reduction from cards such as Hidden Potential Discovered or the level 5 hybrids, and so you can also revive the Cutemon from the Cherubimon as well to set up and prevent your opponent from establishing lethal on their turns. Going into our level 4 lineup, we did just play 4 Loemon and 4 Jagger Loemon. They're both hybrids, very self-explanatory in a Cherubimon style deck where you're playing a yellow bottom end. All of your Tamers act as your level 3 purples instead. Hybrid in general as a playstyle really does enable a lot of flexibility in terms of deck building, just because all your Tamers are your playstarters more so than your level 3s. You are heavily incentivized to Digivolve over your Tamers in this aspect. So Loemon, vanilla hybrid, but serves a purpose. And then Jagger Loemon has retaliation, so that can be used in order to remove larger threats. If your opponent is trying to beat you down, say Emperor Greymon for example, you can trade that in, and then you gain back a memory off of Koichi if that's the case. And then going into our level 5 lineups, we do have 3 Rebellion and 4 Rihimon. So we'll start with Rihimon. Rihimon, like we mentioned, the key cards aspect is a 1-cost evolution, so very excellent into bridging into the Cherubi. It also, when deleted, can revive one of your Tamers. It will activate the on-play effect of those Tamers, so both Matt and Koichi will get their effects. And overall, very, very high value since 1-cost evolution. And then 3 Rebellion. This slot's very, very flexible. The reason why you play Rebellion in the baseline list is because Red Hybrid should be very popular, and Red Hybrid gives you a lot of trouble, so ideally you're able to stop them in their tracks with a Blocker Vengeance, trading into their Emperor Greymon or Ancient Greymon. If you Digivolve it Cherubi over Rebellion, this does mean Cherubimon will inherit Blocker, so Blocker Cherubi, very excellent at deterring your opponent from trying to play aggressive. Also, the discard, very appreciated because you can discard one of your cards, like Bushi or Salamon, and then set up for a Cherubi. Our level 6, we do play the 3 Cherubi. We don't want to max out on 4 Cherubi, mostly because it's very much so a dead card in the early stages of the game, because you're not trying to climb, you're trying to set up your trash into an explosive Pinata-like play. So we do play 3 Cherubi. There are a lot of different level 6s that you potentially could have complement Cherubi, such as Mastemon, who in combination with Bushi Agumon could look for a burn into lethal angle. In our options lineup, we do play 3 Fly Bullet. So the reason we play Fly Bullet is because it is the only way, or one of the better ways for this deck to handle tall threats, such as Ancient Kabuterimon, or Ancient Beetlemon rather, Emperor Greymon, Magna Gurumon, whatever it may be. It's very explosive in security. It's excellent at defeating tall, which Schwartz would not be able to normally touch. Or if, just in general, if your opponent has a threat that you can't get rid of, say a Dynasmon that's sticking on their board, then Fly Bullet will get rid of that target. To play 1 Call from Darkness, being able to pop your own Cherubimon for 1 and then grab back cards, very, very excellent. Even then, even if you're not popping your Cherubimon, it just grabs back a ton of value. Very excellent card. We played 2 Schwartz. Schwartz is one of the most hyped up cards going into this format. Schwartz is able to pop your opponent's level 5 and lower for every Tamer you do possess. So if your opponent tries to go wide, then Schwartz will stop them in their tracks. It's also a very powerful security check. 2 Deathclaws. Deathclaw is the most common way to self-pop your own Cherubimon. It also trades into one of your opponent's level 4 or lower, and security effect, very excellent. Our Tamer lineup is 3 Memory Matt. Matt being a Memory Tamer, very excellent in this case. A lot of decks aren't able to use Matt to its fullest extent, but Cherubimon style decks being able to revive any purple Tamer makes excellent use of this card. Being able to discard a Memory Tamer and then grab back that Memory Tamer for free is very potent. We play 3 Kari. Kari is very annoying to deal with for the opponent. Every time they hit you trying to end the game, then you potentially force them to lose their turn or just take away their resources in general. Very excellent tamer to stack up. Very efficient overall. 4 Koichi rather. Koichi is the bread and butter. You need to see this card as early as possible to start enabling all your plays with your hybrids and discarded fodder as well. And then 3 Analog Youth rather. Analog Youth primary function is the mill 3, or check top 3 and the mill the remaining 2 if you don't grab a Digimon. So you're just setting up your trash very, very effectively. It counts as a tamer, so for cards like Cherubimon, cards like Schwartz, where they're checking for tamer count, Analog Youth is going to net you a ton of advantage. So the main concept of the deck, if it hasn't been reiterated enough, get to stack your grave, get the Cherubi, pop the Cherubi, flood your board with 5-6 different rookies, and then overwhelm your opponent from there. Going into the text that you potentially could incorporate into the Cherubimon list, because this is a deck that pulls from 2 different color pools, that does mean you will have access to a lot more flexibility than the average deck. From the purple side of cards such as Neo Devimon, which is excellent versus Tamer spam like the hybrid decks, or cards like Rebellimon, which is good against aggressive decks, or even Gazimon, who can stop memory blocking, is very, very effective. And then from the yellow portion of cards, Reinforced Memory Boost, which is at 1 in the BT7 format, that can potentially be entertained, and Blinding Ray, which being able to not only burn your securities, so you maybe set up your trash for a play, but also make it so you can go into Cherubi without passing turn is very, very huge. Cherubimon is overall a control style of deck, so try and look for cards that synergize with this playstyle, cards that try and stall out the game for Cherubi, or potentially give Cherubi away to lethal earlier, as it is inherently a slow deck. And finally, the matchups that Cherubimon will face. The biggest reason to play Cherubimon, in my opinion, is the fact that you absolutely demolish yellow hybrids. Like, it's really, really easy for Cherubimon to win this matchup. And the reason why is because yellow hybrid doesn't actually have enough pressure to stop you from setting up the pinata. Yellow hybrid, on average, their most pressure play is just Seraphimon with Rise Greymon underneath it for 3 checks, but that's asking for a lot, and if it hits a fly bullet in security, like we said before, then it stops it completely in its tracks. Yellow hybrid, on average, is going to try and grind the game out, look for small poke to try and end the game, but Cherubimon capitalizes on this slow play style and will just set up the trash, make the pinata, pop the pinata, and then establish anywhere from 5 to 6 damage on the board, which yellow hybrid will be unable to respond to. If they run the purple engine with Schwartz, maybe they will be able to check and stop all of your attacks. However, it will have to be a very, very early Schwartz check, which minimizes the risk for you as the Cherubimon player. In testing, the Cherubimon matchup versus yellow hybrid was easily 80-20 in Cherubimon's favor. Cherubimon, however, will struggle versus faster decks that will be able to take you out before the pinata is primed and ready. Red hybrid and blue hybrid are very prime examples of this. Red hybrid being able to swing for massive amounts of security in one go, and blue hybrid is able to also not only race you down, but using cards such as Korikaku can stop your hybrids from trying to contest board state. Magna Garurumon is also very, very problematic, as bouncing back the Cherubi will prevent the pinata from popping. So overall, Cherubimon, very, very great into slower decks and not super great against faster decks, but that's where the yellow engine comes in to try and minimize how detrimental those matchups can be. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you found this video entertaining. Again, shout out to Hayes and D-Win for coming up with this really, really sick concept. I think this deck is super cool, super fun, and I think it'll be a really interesting dark horse going into the BT7 format, since it smashes one of the most popular decks in the format. So take it easy, everyone.